Welcome to episode 26 of the Renault Master camper conversion. In this episode, I'm going to be finishing the sides of the roof. But before I put any cladding or anything covering over that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out these sections here so I can get my hands in there, I can get some thermal lining in there. I'm going to clean the outer skin of the roof, and then we're going to put some thermal lining in there to stop condensation happening. Although this is all going to be sealed off, this is all breathable, this roof. So letting it breathe is better than sealing it out. And at the ends of these cavities is an access pocket on each side where I can put in a sort of dry dehumidifier, the ones with the little balls in it. I think there might be salt or something like that. It attracts moisture and then condensates inside and drips and captures it. So I've already put them in and they're just replaceable. So you just check them every few months or whatever, take them out and put a new one in. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. Try and protect against moisture from condensating on the sidewalls in the winter. But it is sealed. But if any moisture does get in there, we are protected against it. Now, you can't guarantee complete sealing of the roof. If we get a leak in the roof, it's going to get in there and we ain't going to know it's in there until it starts moulding or it starts rotting wood or something like that. So by doing what we're doing, we're going to give us the best chance of preventing any damage from happening to the van. Doing the thermal lining in here is quite a tricky job. We've only got a small bit of access. So I'm just going to use this rubbing alcohol to clean the surface first, take any dust or anything off of here. I've already done it, so this is just a demonstration. Yep, it's easier when you stand up and get your hand right in there. And then obviously getting this in that small hole is the tricky bit without getting it to stick to everything. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking the backing off, I'll fold it like that, insert it in, and then I'll push the top in and get the top up here, like so, and then push it down to get it to cover the whole surface. It takes a bit of time trying to get this backing off here because it's a bit ripped, so I'm not going to video it all. I'll just explaining it is enough, I think, really. You don't need to see me doing it. Might do it on time lapse. The thermal insulation is done now, so there's a seam there, so I've put that against it. You can actually see the seam there, that little white bit. Looks like there's a bit of light there, so I need to investigate where that light's coming through. And then all the way through, and then I've actually gone 60 centimeters behind this cavity. So that's the, or 50 centimeters, sorry. That's the end of the insulation there. And then they're 50 centimeters long, each of these lengths. So it goes right away in there. So now that that's done, I have got to do the bottom. The way I'm working at the bottom, because it's a bit of a funny shape, is I'm just getting scrap pieces until one fits in. Putting it in there, mould it around the shape, and then measure this piece. And funnily enough, the first piece that I picked fitted, so that's the right size. So now I know how wide it is. I've cut my first strip, and I will get them lining the bottom of that, because part of it is stuck to the van here, but part of it, for some reason, there's a gap underneath. So around the edge of the van is a gap. What could get cold, so we just want to stop condensation forming in there, and that will help keep the van warmer. Now the back and the bottom of the insulation is done, we're going to move on to building the framework. So this is all flat, apart from this bit here. So I've carried on this profile up to the top here, transferred it along here, so we have got now somewhere to screw some timbers to, and that is the angle there. And I have found the angle using a bevel and put it on the end of this timber. And then I have just checked it against the line, so that's going to screw there. But now I've got the angle, I'm going to put the two sides in here because I've got better places to screw up here. And the bigger bits of timber are going to split less. So I'm going to get them in, and then I'll trim that bit down to fit in between and get that screwed on there, one screwed on here, and then carry on, build the frame all along here. And then I'm probably going to stick some ply on there with some of this insulation on the back of the ply to insulate that bit better from that cavity, and then I'll probably just put some of this tongue and groove cladding, what I've used down here, across the top of that, and then that should bring it out to this level of this little lip. So it's about 12 mil or something like that, 12 to 15 mil. I'm not exactly sure, I haven't measured it, but by feeling it, that's what I think it is. So I'm going to get that done and then I'll show you how I'm getting on with this. That's my first one made, so I'm going to use that as a template. I think some of them vary a little bit in size, so they're a bit bigger on this side. So I will make them a little bit bigger, and then I can trim them down to fit each one. That's my template, so I'm going to go make 6 of these now and keep this as a template for the other side. And then I can get all this framework built. I've set up my circular saw, my table saw to cut this angle now. So I can build these little frameworks on the sides and then get these top bits in, and then get the ply over this and get the covering done, close it in a bit. This is coming along nicely now. This one, these rounded ones, they were a bit more tricky because it's rounded on the edge and then it curves up the back, so that was already difficult to shape them. But yeah, that one's in, and them 2 are on the sides. So I've just got this top piece in to go in. I'm going to glue it up along the top, stick it in, and I pre-drilled it, so I'll get that screwed in and then I can start cladding this out. But before I do that, I'm going to have to get some insulation. Now I've got a little framework there, I've decided I might put some Celotex in there because it's going to be a bit thicker than the insulation I've got. I've only got 10mm, that silver sticky stuff. So I'll find a way of getting it to stay in place and then get that in there, and then we'll get the cladding done. And I'll be glad to see this wrapped up. Got the bits of insulation cut now, so the way I'm going to fit them in is I'm going to use spray foam behind it, and then I'm going to slide them up in position and then use these. So once the foam's gone off, it won't push it out at the right place, and it will also glue it in there. I've put expanded foam down the sides of here, so once that goes off, that will hold it, stop it from pushing forward. And then I have put a little blob at the middle up here because this is a longer panel, so just to stop that flexing in. So I'll give that an hour and then I'll be able to take all them little bits of timber off, and then them bits of insulation should be stuck in there. I might put some tape over the edges just to be 100% sure, but once that expanded foam has gone off, it will stick to the insulation anyway, so I'm sure it won't go anywhere. That's how I'm getting over that job, and now that's pretty much ready for cladding, which I'm quite excited about. Before we get the cladding done, I just wanted to insulate this last little bit because once it's clad I won't be able to gain access. Bit tricky getting up there because it doesn't just go there, it rolls right around the top, and then I'll get the camera in there. So I've cleaned it out with some alcohol, but as you can see there, that green patching is where water has previously condensated and caused some mould. So I'm going to clean that out and try and get some insulation up there. But for now, I'm just going to get the cladding done on here. All this is insulated behind there, so we won't have that problem. It's all been cleaned with alcohol, so we won't have the problem of condensation in there now. And it's obviously insulated on the wall, and then it's insulated there. So it shouldn't be a massive temperature difference from the outside to in there. And then it will obviously be warm inside the cab. So we're giving like an air gap to prevent condensation from forming inside these cavities. The cladding's coming along nicely now. I've just fitted this one. I haven't nailed it fully in, just because I thought I might need to pull it forward to get this board in. And I've just dry fitted this one, and I've pushed it back, measured it, because I'm probably going to need to bend this one out to get the joint in together. And then once that top piece is in, I'll push it back, see if it all fits, and then I'll nail it all up. So I'm nearly done with this side. I'll get that last one cut in there, and then just that little section, and then I'm not sure what we're going to do with this box in here. Not thought about it yet, but I do know that I'm going to have like a coving, probably a wooden coving going across here, because we've got these curved bits there. So I think that will finish nicely against the ceiling, and I had to cut out the board there to get round the shape like that. So yeah, a bit of coving across the top will finish that nicely. It's not a job I'm going to do right now. It's going to be finishing details. Just want to get these cladded in because it's getting cold now. We need to try and seal up this roof space. So when I've got a heater on here, we're not going to have condensation forming in the van. But now all the boards are cut, and just put some glue on there. It's going to stop it from squeaking. Not to glue it down, more just to stop any squeaking from happening. So I'll get this one in. It's a bit tricky, a bit tight. I have nailed the bottom one, but not all the way in. There's that one, and this one I had to cut into 2 pieces because it's such a small thin bit that it would have just snapped anyway, because it's quite a tricky job getting it in. Okay, now that one's in. A little bit of glue across the top. Doesn't need to be perfect up here because, like I said, I'm gonna put like a coving in here so it'll cover all this and all these joints. So this is just a base for the coving to sit against. That's why I cut it there, just in case it isn't as big. I don't want it too big because of weight, so I thought I'd get as much as I can on here. It's annoying when it happens. The glue comes out and drips. I've got alcohol, so I'll wipe it off with a bit of alcohol. I'm going to take it off. There it is. I've just got to nail it up. And I've cut these to match these side ones as well. That is that section done, so now we will move on to this small section and then I'm ready to finish building the kitchen units. Now that cladding is done, I've also put these timbers in here, which is basically the framework for this boxing. Unfortunately I couldn't use them as the sides because it's this hollow bit here, so I'll just put cladding on the sides, this tongue and groove, and I can't put it on the front because, unless I put it that way, I didn't really like the idea of that. I'd rather have it one full piece. But yeah, I'll come back to that later because once this kitchen unit is in, it sticks out, so it's going to create a shelf as well. We've got to make use of every little inch we've got, really, because, you know, we've just got a whole home in a small van. But yeah, I'm going to finish that later. So now I'm going to move on to finishing these kitchen units. I started building them and then I only realised that this one was going to stick out wider. At the top over here somewhere, so it would have been difficult to get up there, but I've done as much as I can, so yeah, back on with the kitchen. Thank you for watching my video. If you found it helpful, you just enjoyed watching it, please like the video, and if you're interested to see how the camper turns out in the end, stay tuned and get subscribed.